Carpe diem.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. But you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
trying to find somebody out of position. We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll! See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments. Beast Mode has killed 3! Only gonna really need that Rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house. That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga Fort is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beaglebus, they have to play aggressively into this energy, popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We are very, very close to finishing out this CGL Season 14. We've got a matchup here in our NAGM tier between the strangely named and Enenra, who are our mid-season champions in the NAGM tier, going up to try and get their revenge over Squirt Squad to, move on. Both these teams, they lost to Squirt Squad.
Yes, we'll go ahead and pull up that bracket and show you. This is actually one of the brackets that have been lagging behind a little bit. They still got 3 matches before it all concludes. Squirt Squad has been waiting for almost a week now in the losers round 4, losers finals, waiting for these teams to play their matches and get ready to play them as we see here. And big TT Tar fan is in the grand finals, taking down Square Squad 3-0 in the winners finals. So all these teams left in the lower bracket all got revenge on their mind. As you mentioned, both these teams today lost to Squirt Squad in round 1 and Enenra in round 2. And that's the most interesting thing is lost to them earlier, but they got a map off of them while Enenra didn't. So we're going to have to see if things change, if that matters, and how these new balance changes that came in on Tuesday are going to affect things tonight.
Yeah, and excuse me for the stuttering early. There were some kids at my door, trying to sell some cookies. It was cute, I guess. But yeah, speaking to that, Patch, I don't know that a whole lot is going to change. I still think Juno Brigg is insane. Until they change her, she's always going to be the mainstay.
Agreed. I think tanks is where it could change. Mostly, it's not even about it was the slight micro nerf to Mauga plus the micro buffs to Orisa, where we might start to see more and more Orisa played and maybe a little bit less Mauga is, the run in theory at this point. I haven't seen too many matches since then as we're getting near the end of the season. So it's not like we have matches on every single day. So very excited to see how this will work out though. And I've also seen a lot of Winston too on the dive maps more often. Like people are, especially with the extra 10 damage to his jump, it feels like he has taken over on the dive maps versus like a diva.
We will have to see what the plan is here for these two teams looking to move on in this lower bracket. Let's go ahead and meet them. First up is going to be mmmfghm. Here is our first team here. Ruby Sad on the DPS, Sulgi on the tank, Umredi and Bustioro in that back line. They've had themselves a pretty decent season thus far. Let's see, they went 6-2 in the regular season. Not bad at all. Now, trying to fight for their life, a pretty decent lower bracket run, 2 games in a row for them, looking to make it 3.
As we'll now go ahead and take a look at their opponents, which is Enenra, one of the main stakes that we've seen in CGL over the years. We got Zombie and Krusty in the DPS line with Red Chimp, Abs, and QTW rounding out those supports. So once again, I mean, both of these teams are very talented. They both lost the Squirt Squad, hoping to make some changes and be able to come back and get revenge on them in order to make it to the grand finals. But Enenra's a main org in CGL for a reason. They've always fielded talented teams.
Yeah, very, very good, season for them in general. They won the mid-season tournament, like I said earlier. Kind of struggled a little bit late or early, I suppose, in that Malga meta, right? And we knew it as the great equalizer. Sometimes these lower tier teams, they would rise up to the occasion. And, we saw it in, one of the other tiers. In the EU, I think it was the EU GM tier where the Shenzhen Strikers, they'd given up entirely. And then they won, right? So now it is really interesting to see, how this is going to shake things up because, the Malga I still think is going to be super viable, but I don't think it's going to be the end all be all anymore. With those health changes, he's going to be a little bit more squishy. But as it stands, if there's going to be anywhere where you can continue to play this Malga, Lijiang Tower is probably not a bad shout.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I've been talking about because, less armor, more health is going to make him be able to be focused down that much more. But the changes they put in for the Orisa, which were the radius in which you get pulled in from the Terra Surge is 2 meters bigger in a circle. So that's a pretty big deal. And then I believe they got 25 more armor. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see if those changes where sometimes if people were struggling to play the Malga, Orisa would be your next best thing. So it might even be better with a net buff for Orisa and a net nerf for Malga.
Yeah, and, in some of these other matches, since that patch came out a couple of days ago, I think there was one last night where, it was either not playing a meta at all or, they were heading off of the Malga. They wanted to play the Orisa. Having said that, if I remember correctly, Red Chimp on the tank is going to be a very big question mark for Enenra, what they are planning on doing, because the guy likes the Wrecking Ball, right? He really does, and it's not even that Wrecking Ball's really that bad of a shout, especially on, speaking of Lijiang Tower, Garden, I feel like is a very strong place for Wrecking Ball to work out. But as we head in, it's going to look like either side is going to say, hey, Malga out, Orisa back in it to the limelight. Orisa's out from both sides, and it looks like Juno Brig as well.
Yeah, and with the buffs also to Sojourn in like the railgun, the 1-100 versus 20-120 now, it's going to make Sojourn that much more potent. So it's no surprise here that teams are looking to slug on out and play in that situation. But for they're going to take on the Zarya instead and put Sad on the Reaper. So hoping to have a lot of burst damage to melt the Zarya of Red Chimp faster.
All right, bit of dirty bubble gameplay for but Zombie has put down the Brig already. Umready falls first here as Red Chimp tries to get active in the front line. There's a Tracer in the back line, and that Tracer has killed another. 2 players down for Enenra, and it will be them who come out and grab this first flip.
Yeah, as soon as you were down one, because it was your Brig of all things, you were definitely not going to win that fight, so I think it would have been best for to get out of there. As already they're going to abandon the Zarya, and Sulgi is going to go over and match this Riz, which in the end, I think that's going to be the smart decision. Still going to have the Reaper versus the Tracer, so really, the Tracer, if you can limit the amount of backline pressure, the Reaper comes through with the damage.
Okay, well, this time it is Ruby on the other side here with the first pick onto Krusty. Slides to the left looking for someone, not going to find that shot with the railgun. Now in a fight with Zombie, 70 HP, 5 it is, and no problem there for Ruby as a cleanup kill for the road.
Hey, sometimes it doesn't matter how well you play in this comp if your Orisa can go on and off angle and find picks with those railguns. Another one onto Apps. That's all it's going to take, as it seems like this night is going to be a lot on how these Sojourns play. So continue to keep an eye on Ruby and Zombie.
Well, there is Ruby in the kill feed once again with a headshot on the CTW. And, I mean, Sulgi's getting very, very aggressive, but it will be a hard disengage back into spawn here for Enenra.
As they're going to have to be careful, and fully charged rail shot for Zombie can snipe anyone's head off at a given time, as Apps is also going to commit the rally and the overclock.
Well, here we go, the overclock down, but Red Chimp with all the final blows in the world. You see this Orisa very low, Red Chimp for 3, CTW for 2, flip belongs to Enenra.
3 ults used in that fight from Enenra is the bad side of that, while Oomph was just really smart. They didn't commit a single ultimate, so now they can come back, and it doesn't even matter. Ruby's already found Zombie.
The aggressive play from Zombie usually works out for him, but here getting punished as Ruby looks to continue to try to take this space, gets backed up, gets that healing from the Brig. Now rallied down from ready. Red Chimp has to play it safe, but that spear spin can only keep him safe for so long.
As Ruby is having themselves a map. My goodness, that was 3 picks in that fight, and all they used was rally. What a convincing and well-planned out fight there, Fletch. And I mean, what more could you ask for when your Ruby is getting these opening picks? You don't have to commit as many ultimates.
Well, headed in for still in the hands of mmmfghm, but I mean, Red Chimp goes to meet someone in downtown Lijiang.
Wow, Solgi that carries that far. Red Chimp was not expecting to get taken that far off the map, and I don't blame him.
All right, well, here's the overclock, and CTW just eviscerated Death Blossom out, and mmmfghm are looking clean right now. Nothing for Enenra late in that round, is that's not even going to be overtime started.
They were doing so well, Fletch, that they never even used their Juno ult. The entire map. Like, at the end, they used it there just because it was over. They wanted to use it. Like, that's how well has been playing. And I think, you know, early MVP votes are definitely ticking in the favor of Ruby. I mean, it's only a 1-map sample, but if this continues, this is going to be a tough night for Enenra.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at 90% and you've just got 4 ultimates to throw at a wall, especially right in the spawn door, it's never going to be easy for Enenra. Now, we see mmmfghm. It looks like they are changing it up a little bit. Sad on the Tracer rather than the Reaper. Didn't have a massive impact up until the end on the Reaper. Now going to match Krusty on this Tracer, and there is APVS just getting a face full of fists there from Sad. Now looking for Krusty on the off angle, and without APVS, it's not going to be an easy fight here for Enenra.
And they are over on the Baptiste too. I'm not sure how I feel about that swap. CTW is going to go off the edge just to reset. I mean, the Brig Juno is just so potent right now. I know they had the nerfs to rally or to inspire, where it doesn't it lasts a second less longer, but that's still, I mean, the power in this meta is the Juno, and the Brig helps enable the Juno.
All right, well, Zombie looking to back up here, trying to play it safe. The Disruptor shot not really going to find much of anything. Red Chimp trying to get something going in the front line, but it's all mmmfghm right now.
I mean, you get ready, but it doesn't even matter. Fight is over 30% and counting for the side of Oomph. And again, Sad swapping over to the Tracer is now getting so much distraction value, is keeping the eyes of these supports time and time again, and it's just allowing Ruby to continue to free fire and take angles.
All right, Sad with the pulse bomb ready to go, sees Krusty, calls them out, forces them out, but Zombie, now it's their turn to get started. Now pulse bomb out, but Zombie again, fadeaway shot. Down goes Sad, and overclock ready to go, but he may not even need to use it here should they so choose. But Well, it seems that fortunes have changed, and now this Terra Surge down. Krusty going to be able to take it down to Sulgi, and it's very lucky that Zombie did not fall to that Terra Surge, because now a 2v2 Juno and a Tracer versus a Juno and a Tracer. Some reinforcements coming in from either side, but Enenra do still have the numbers.
They do. Sad's going to go down, and that's going to spell a point flip for the side of Enenra. 84% gained, as both teams did use a lot there. So, I mean, the one thing you have going for you is your oomph is Dustioru has the orbital ray available, and CTW is still a good 20% away. So that can be your quick fight win here.
All right, headed back in here. Enenra looks to hold on. Orbital Ray down is the answer to the Terra Surge and the Amp Matrix, but the long-range shots. Boosty Oro does not want to give this up, but Zombie cleans up the Juno, and it will be Enenra retaining their hold.
You say that, but picks are going back and forth. It does look like Sad's going to back up, but some of these respawners are coming back quicker for the side of and oh, look at that, the pressure onto Red Chimp, and they're down.
Yeah, for recall used by Sad, looking for the pulse bomb onto the shield, unfortunately for this Tracer, but if they disengage now, there will be a chance for a retouch.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have that ability with Orbital Ray and Overclock and Pulse Bomb. They should be fine. Sulgi has also swapped over to the Diva, so not sure how I feel about that.
All right, Overclock down from Ruby. Zombie will answer with one of his own. The Orbital Ray is down, and there is a trade. Both Sojourns will fall, but Red Chimp has found a second pick. Krusty on the point, trying to play around this Orbital Ray. Bustioro from the very, very top of the point. Just playing Ring Around the Rosie, hard to get with this Tracer, but it will not be enough, and Enenra will stay alive here on Lijiang Tower.
3-for-1 ult exchange in the favor of the side, and Sad's going to get CTW. So, I mean, if Enenra had any plans to try and look to hold aggressively, those went out the window as soon as you lost your Juno. They're going to have to play a little bit more safer. Sulgi's going to go back over to the Orisa. They are coming up on Pulse and Rally, so they're going to have to hope to use those tools to flip this point back, because this is looking like it might be final fight territory, considering how long these fights have been lasting.
All right, well, Ruby with a well-charged railgun ready to go. Doesn't see the need to let it go. Oh my goodness. Krusty absolutely eats dirt there. Red Chimp with the trade, but even with the Terra Surge will not be enough to keep them alive here. Now pressure onto Zombie, but with CTW down and dead there, it's going to be very difficult for Enenra to retain their hold, and they will fall here on Lijiang Tower. mmmfghm going to be able to take map number 1, and it got dicey at the end, but overall, fairly convincing.
Yeah, I mean, the first map was definitely the Ruby story, but Sad absolutely came through big time on the Tracer on the second sub map, and their DPS line showing up in spades. Big reason why they are in the situation, up 1-0 and looking very, very good in this Orisa meta.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great switch because, like I said, between the rounds, Sad really didn't have the biggest impact. I mean, it's not like Enenra were allowing them to have the chance to be a big impact because Ruby was dominating them so hard there on the control center. But yeah, like you said, after switching to Tracer here, I mean, absolutely started fragging out. And I mean, for the most part, the entire side of mmmfghm were able to, you know, very smartly play around their ultimates, around their lives. They weren't giving these hard 1v1s that, you know, Zombie is well known to take and win. Often catching Zombie off guard when they weren't really expecting these kills to come through. It was a kind of a symphony of everything going right for mmmfghm, especially on map number 1, but they kept their level heads and they ended up winning out in map number 2 as well.
And this is where things start to get interesting. This is where strategy starts to open up, because open map pool. It's not a specified map type order. You can go ahead and pick whatever you please. So you kind of talked about how Red Chimp likes to play Wrecking Ball, right? So maybe you take yourself to a map where that's going to be much more viable, much more favorable. I mean, Ilios is kind of off the table, so maybe not that, but maybe you take us to like a Blizzard world, or maybe you take us to, maybe like a Watchpoint Gibraltar, maybe even like a Paraiso, possibly just somewhere where Wrecking Ball is going to have a good time.
Well, it doesn't seem like they want to leave the Orisa behind. I guess they think that they've got a good opportunity. On their map pick, it's going to be Kings Row. I wouldn't really think it goes too many different directions than that. But it's Kings Row, right? It's going to be Rush. I have to assume that Enenra are going to want to play the Orisa. I mean, early on, the Wrecking Ball or some kind of dive could work, but I think that the way that, especially how mmmfghm were looking on the Orisa and how strong she is in a vacuum compared to the Wrecking Ball, especially with the hard CC that the Spear provides, I find it hard to believe that Enenra have any other idea than, hey, we just got to keep trying to play this game. We know we can do it.
Yeah, I mean, that second submap was definitely a lot closer than the first one. And I think Zombie started to really find their stride too on the Sojourn against Ruby. So you have that going for you as we enter Kings Row. And keep in mind, first to 3. So if mmmfgh can manage to win this map, they're putting themselves on match point. They'll be feeling great and one step closer to trying to meet Squirt Squad in the losers finals and try and seek revenge and try and make it all the way to the grand finals.
That is, of course, always the goal. Yeah, backs against the wall for both of these teams. Lower bracket season, if you hadn't looked at the calendar, the season's almost over. It is very, very close to coming to an end here. There's not a single team left in any tournament that has a second life, right? You have to be able to lock in here because whether you're, down in the lower bracket or you made it through the upper bracket into the grand finals, you don't have the backup of the, we lose, we're not out yet, right? So Enenra, they have their map selection. They're going to need to play it a little bit smarter than they did on Lijiang Tower, but there's clearly a reason that they brought us here, and they, of course, don't want to see their season end here.
It's going to be the big question is how do these teams do going up against pressure? mmmfgh has definitely had their backs against the wall for a little bit longer, getting knocked out in the first round of the winner's bracket. So they've been on that loser go home situation for a week longer than Enenra. So that's one thing going for them, is they're tried and trusted at this point. Can Enenra come up with the goods and get mmmfgh off this positive momentum that they have been on in this run throughout the loser's bracket? As we mentioned, Kings Row, map number 2, so expect more of the same Orisa. Maybe we see some teams try and pull out the Mauga, but I think it was a pretty even matchup there. I don't think necessarily like one team absolutely just wiped them out and you're like, wow, we need to go back to the drawing board here. As we take a look at Enenra's defense, and they are going to continue playing this Orisa with the Sojourn Tracer. And that was the thing I remember we had in our casters chat. We were literally like, I think someone posted, what do you think the meta is going to be after the patch notes came out? And I literally said Orisa, Brig, Juno, Sojourn. I'm not sure who the second DPS is. I think Tracer makes a lot of sense, but I mean, this is panning out exactly what the patch notes seemed like they were going to do.
Yeah, and mmmfgh did hover our funny hammer guy, but nothing going to be super different here.
15 extra damage or 25 extra damage onto that hammer. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Orisa is just a little bit more of a menace than Reinhardt can even handle with that. I imagine Ruby just taking some pot shots, going to actually roll out of the spawn, grapple up to the top of this ledge, put some more shots in, a little body shot there into Krusty, force the Tracer out. Have to get around this statue, take some damage there from Zombie, under some pressure by a bunch of angles, and I mean, just constant pressure here from this Widowmaker, and I mean, just locked in is Ruby. A nice headshot there onto Krusty. 2-for-1 trade, 38 HP. But will not even need to do anything else because Sad is continuing their reign of terror on Tracer.
See, and it's the combination of Ruby and Sad, though, Fletch, because Sad is able to be aggressive. Actually, take over for a second, Fletch. Something happened. I'll be right back.
All right, well, coming back in here. Point going to be captured out. Not really sure what exactly Ray was going to say there, but regardless, coming up, it will be a close hold for Enenra. No ultimates except for the pulse bomb from Sad on the horizon. That is coming up, but not even going to need it to take care of Krusty. Absolutely locked in. Zombie on the other side with a nice headshot onto Ruby, taking down that Widowmaker, but needs to stay alive. Cannot do that here, and it's just Boosty Oro dominating here. 2 picks on either side for the Tracer and the Baptiste, cleaned up by Sulgi. Now, I mean, it's just these DPS dominating here for the side of mmmfghm, Ruby, and Sad. I mean, Ruby giving the pressure, letting Sad follow up on the pressure. Sulgi doing a bit of a jig here. Back and forth for the Orisa. Now getting shot at, finally going to break that. Coming back in here for mmmfghm, and Enenra returning from spawn. Sulgi with the Terra Surge ready to go. Red Chimp also having that luxury, but this Amp Matrix is going to be so brutal. The Terra Surge down finds a lot of damage, but Ruby just with 2 beautiful headshots here. Ruby continuing to just absolutely frag out, even with Krusty under it. Yeah, Pulse Bomb sent, caught by Ruby there. Unfortunately, it's a 2v1 here for this Tracer. Not gonna be in the best position to take over this fight. Has to use the recall so early. It's gonna be an attempt at a retouch here from the side of Enenra, but the Terra Surge, so damn annoying. Will be a point capture here. 5 minutes on the clock for mmmfghm going into Objective C, and I mean, they are rolling right now. Sulgi gets a little bit too aggro there, a little bit too active for the Orisa on the side of mmmfghm, so this has got to be the opportunity here for Enenra, should they so choose to get going. But good lord, Ruby fed a bullet there by Zombie. I mean, back and forth, Zombie needs to lock it in a little bit more from them because Ruby has been fragging here, and we've all seen what Zombie can do on these hit scans. Now we see ultimate out from Ruby, infra sights down, get those wall hacks rolling. Enenra, 4 ultimates going into 3 more once this infra sight fades away. Zombie looking for something. Orbital Ray down from either side, as well as the overclock from Zombie looking for something, but okay, that is the something. Not exactly what they wanted there from the orbital, or rather the overclock, but it's going to be more than enough as Zombie cleans up Sulgi. A little bit expensive from Enenra to support ultimates, but it's not like mmmfghm did not invest. They used 3, so, you know, it was worth it. 3 for 3 there. Enenra wins out on that fight. A little bit of poke coming in here from mmmfghm. Sad on this Ash. Throws in that dynamite. CTW extremely low. Taken down by Sad. Some great shots from this Viper. Terra Surge in the backline from Sulgi, or rather Red Chimp. That Immortality Field very annoying, and it's going to be more than enough to keep this mmmfghm roster rolling. Team kill comes through onto Enenra. Now the only ultimate on the board is Krusty's actually going to swap over to the Ash to match Sad as well. Amp Matrix coming in for Boost Yoro. Only ultimate, like I said. mmmfghm trying to find something here with this Amp Matrix from the high ground. That dynamite, oh my god. I can only imagine how much damage that dynamite does right through the Amp Matrix. Zombie does, in fact, though, find the trade. It has to be a late touch. Sulgi very, very low as the Baptiste and the Ash walk around the backside of the fight, and that was maybe a bit of a misplay. Ruby from afar finds 2 kills. But will it be enough to keep mmmfghm in this game here? Sad still getting pressured on that high ground. Healing coming in from afar. Not going to be... okay, yeah. Just sending that disruptor shot in from Zombie. And Zombie with a second. Hey, I said it. Zombie needed to lock in, play a little bit more their style, and they are locking it down. 2 minutes now on the clock for mmmfghm's attack. Still a monumental time bank to roll through. A couple ultimates coming up for this mmmfghm side. Overclock, Bob, or rather the Orbital Ray, Enenra. 3, almost 4 of their own coming up here, and they will not even need to expend one. Sulgi falls here. Umredi will meet the same fate. Sad does end up getting a traded pick there, but with Ruby and Sad being so damn low, yeah, it's just too much. And they know there's someone in this back line.
All right, sorry about that, Fletch.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're chill.
We're good
There's
now.
someone in the back line back here.
Yeah, they're hunting and searching, and they've been found. Ooh, down goes Ruby. Lots of ults on the side for Oomph. However, they're approaching the final minute, so they can't afford to let any more time waste.
Okay. 5 ultimates coming up for Enenra, 4 for mmmfghm, and that Amp Matrix will not be too far behind.
Very surprised they've fallen into this Baptiste comp that didn't work out well for Enenra on this map, and now they're suddenly on it.
Ruby sliding up to the high ground. Bob enters the fray as well as the overclock for Ruby. Bob will not be, or Bob will actually be thrown in for the side of Enenra. Needs to find something there, just at most being a nuisance. But with 41 seconds left, there will be a late touch here for Enenra.
We're gonna have to see if that will be enough. I mean, Zombie is still going to have this overclock.
All right, well, here is Zombie and that overclock looking for a shot wide right there on, I believe that's Bustioro on the high ground. Can't exactly see. Yep, I was right. Baptiste from the high ground being, you know, a bit of an annoying gnat up there. Krusty in the back line falling there. And I mean, Sad absolutely locking it in here late. 3 seconds on the clock, so even with this massive time bank, it will be a win here. But overtime for mmmfghm.
Still have some touchers who can touch the point. And Mortality Field's been used. They just got to get this Tracer down, and they're able to do that point cap. But overtime is what they end up getting for the side of mmmfg.
Yeah, and I'm going to. It's not one player who absolutely locked it in, but one player who did step up in that final push was Zombie. I mean, they went into that final point with a little over 5 minutes, and I mean, Ruby was just finding headshots after headshots, right? Just absolutely fragging out on the Widowmaker, like 2 for free right there in that fight. But I mean, Zombie really did step up in that ability to challenge Ruby late in this round, and even though, you know, unfortunately they did end up letting the cap come through, knocking 5 minutes off the clock, that is no small feat.
It really is not. I think, as we mentioned, the time bank was just looking staggering at points on that map, so the fact that you're able to waste all that time, get it to overtime. Now, if you can continue this positive momentum you had on the back of that defense, and you put yourself in a spot where you can get over a minute on the clock, then you're in a win or draw situation.
I don't know if I agree with the APVS swap here onto the Baptiste. I mean, I feel like they were playing well enough on the Brig, but
yeah,
I guess we'll have to see because mmmfghm is mirroring it.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have shown it. I mean, this is what they were playing on Lijiang Gardens, so we'll have to see who's going to be better in this specific mirror. Ruby is also still sticking to that Widow on the defense.
All right, Sad being a menace in the back line as always on this Tracer. Putting a little bit of pressure from this Zombie Sojourn, and does have the slide ready to go. And yeah, Sad very lucky to being escaping with their life here, but with Ruby finding these shots, it will not be easy. 17 HP for the Widowmaker, 2 for 2 here. The DPS getting active here for Enenra. Krusty from the high ground looking for stuff, but the trade's too strong for mmmfghm.
Yeah, Krusty's kind of been on their own going after the Widow, and I mean, rightfully so, but in the meantime, the rest of the team is just going down. So it feels like you got to be a little bit quicker in finding those kills so you can get back to your team and help them out.
Red Chimp headed back in here on this Orisa. Looking to get aggressive here. Shoves back Sulgi. Trying not to overextend, but it seems like that is what's going to happen. I mean, Red Chimp just getting way too deep in there. Asad cleans up a couple.
And they don't even get that tick that they were so close to getting. However, Bustioro's gone down. You say that, but Ready has now found Zombie back to Spawnerman. And now these two are just sitting ducks here on the stairwell. They cannot afford to go down.
Yeah, CGW will fall. Krusty may very well escape with their life, but without the Juno in this fight, there really isn't one to speak of.
And again, this has all just been in the neutral. Neither team has had to use any kind of ultimates, and now the ults are just stacking on the side of both teams. CTW, however, is very far behind in the charge for this orbital array, and that really could affect things for Enenra, as half the time bank is now off the clock.
Pulse bomb ready to go for Krusty. Now here we see the sights up for this Ruby Widowmaker, and ooh, not even, I don't know if I agree with that use of the pulse bomb there. They had the sights up and 2 dead, so even without Sulgi, this is going to be a rough fight for Enenra.
Yeah, if they could get out and re-engage would have been the thing, but Red Chimp going down there absolutely kills any chance you had of trying to at least aggressively take the point. You may not have gotten a tick, but it could have bought you advantageous positioning, but that's just not going to happen. Ready now has that orbital array with CTW still 20% behind. This is your chance to get aggressive with it and waste even more time.
Oh, goodness, sad. Proving to be a nuisance there as Sulgi sends the spear straight through the Sojourn. Krusty will fall here, and Enenra with 60 seconds left on the clock have got to find something with one of these 4 ultimates coming up.
They definitely do, as now the orbital rays are even, so we'll probably see both of those coming out in this fight. Zombies got to come through on this overclock, especially when you're going to have an orbital ray to help damage boost it.
Coming back in here.
Wait, what happened?
No way, CTW got speared!
Oh,
Speared out of
no.
orbital ray, and I'm ready. We'll have one to answer with. Zombie, though, will not let this aggression stand. Sulgi does claim 1, Ruby another, but even with the 2 picks coming in from the other side, it's not enough. Oh man, the Rajack's coming back to bite.
Oh, that's devastating. I mean, the Kiri's now out. Pulse bomb fights too.
Oh my god! Now the question is there going to be another toucher?
Yeah,
3
there's a
seconds
Tracer
left.
still available to touch. They're definitely gonna get it, but they're down. Ruby gets the pick.
Ruby, another headshot. How about another? Not even gonna get the chance. Overclock fades away. mmmfghm 1 step away from a grudge match against Squirt Squad. Absolute dominance through, 90% of that map. They look unstoppable on the defense.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now. This series is by no means over yet. Fletch, if I'm Squirt Squad and I'm watching this, I'd be a little nervous. Oomph is looking really, really good and really, really dominant.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that game that they played Squirt Squad earlier in the tournament, of course, they're playing meta right now. I find it hard to believe that they weren't playing meta then. The whole Malga composition was played so differently, despite being that the same backline, right? The Malga comp was way more reliant on the DPS following up on what the Malga was doing. This is like a rush poke hybrid with the Orisa, and it's just played so differently from the Malga that, I mean, it's going to be an entirely different game, whichever team makes it through here to go play Squirt Squad. And you know that they've got to be be looking to be prepared.
I mean, literally, this composition predicates, Orisa being able to hold the front line, with the supports, while you allow your Sojourn to find off angles and look for poke picks consistently, and that allows your Tracer to be able to go into the back line and harass them. So it's a lot of things happening at the same time, so it definitely plays different, as the Malga was predicated on just burst damage coming through with the Overrun, coming through with the Echo, coming through with the Reaper. So totally different styles. We're going to have to see how this series continues to develop. Oomph is up 2-0, puts themselves on match point. Will they make it a clean 3-0, or does Enenra find some fight? Find out after this break.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Right now, mmmfghm looking excellent. I mean, they are looking scary on this Orisa composition, up 2-0 after 2. Already on match point to try and get their revenge on Squirt Squad in the lower finals, to try and continue moving up into that top 3. Now, we do know where we're going for map number 3, and Enenra is going to bring us to New Junk City, and I gotta be honest with you, Ray, I don't imagine anything's gonna change.
It's possible. Even during the Mauga reign supreme OP mega annoying meta, when you came to a map like New Junk City, Junker Queen was always on the table. A lot of teams would pull out on this map. So I still think that's going to reign true. That's always an option. But I agree, you know, good chances are we still see the Orisa, but don't rule out the possibility of our queen entering the fray.
Yeah, I think that is a good shout. I do, however, think that she has a little bit better of a matchup into Mauga than she does into Orisa.
That's fair.
I kind of feel like she's got she gets a little bit shut down, you know, by the sphere, by the spin. That said, she is still very, very good. I think that she will always be a solid pick here on New Junk City, especially as kind of an ace in the hole, right? It's very, very real, that possibility that, you know, maybe we don't see a Junker Queen anywhere else, but a team wants to take us to one of these clash or flashpoint maps, and they're saying, hey, Junker Queen, we're gonna throw a wrench in the plan. But doesn't look like that is the choice from Enenra. It looks like it'll be much of the same for them. However, I mean, mmmfghm across the board are hovering something interesting, which not guaranteed to leave the spawn.
Yeah, I don't like to be baited by teams, but with how confident they're feeling, it's always a possibility, and it does look like they are going to roll out on it, and I am very excited. They're going to pull out the Torbjorn! Yes, let's see these changes coming through, baby. I better see a hammer kill.
Hammer kills a nano hammer meta. We will see Redchim anteed up here early. Sulgi walking around the outside. Zombie can only evade death for so long. Slides away from the fire strike right into the nade. 1 kill, that's all mmmfghm needs to win this fight.
Especially when it's the Sojourn, that's just a lot of pick damage out of the table, so you got to back out and look to re-engage. Taking that 4v5 and feeding ult charge is definitely not going to be the play there. And the point cap just came in, and basically they're already here to take the fight again. But look at all this damage Redchimp takes on entrance.
I mean, Ruby, doesn't matter if they're playing hit scan, projectile, whatever you want. I mean, 2 kills for the Junkrat here in this fight, and they can't seem to escape the shots.
As Ruby's just throwing these Junkrat mines, these bombs up into the air and finding picks. Absolutely insane. This Redchimp is now going to make the swap over to the Ramatra, who does have that ability to punch through the shield. So, I mean, that's kind of probably what they're hoping to lean on. Krusty is going to go over to the Venture as well.
All right, some swaps coming in. The Ramatra, yeah. Could be good here to deal with the Reinhardt. We'll have to see. Redchimp going in. It throws down the Vortex, but I mean, booped in by the pancake of that Junkrat, and I mean, immediately dispatched of so quickly. Zombie takes one to the road there, but wait a minute, Zombie, don't do it to him. They've got family, Zombie. It's a 2v2 here. The DPS, Zombie trying to take care of that turret, will get that Jun, and Zombie almost single-handedly winning that fight for Enenra.
Zombie basically single-handedly won that. Absolutely insane. 99% still gained for the side of mmmfghm, so they're only going to have to win one more fight. And the only thing they used in that fight was Terra Surge. And Enenra, because of the swaps they've been making, all they have is Zombie's overclock. So they have to rely on Zombie to play hero mode once again.
Well, did it without the overclock before. We'll see. Here is the Nano Hammer. Krusty comes out with a pick, popping out of the dirt. The Nano Boost will be able to claim Redchimp, but no Nano Hammer just yet for this Torbjorn.
As we see, they're getting off the on, which I think was the smart thing. They were just trying to do the silly Nano Hammer play. Going over to the Kiriko. Which in this situation when you're playing, and we do see Sulgi who's on the Orisa as well. So, I mean, they did that last fight, but that's to mention no Reinhardt in the play either. So, double speed, though, available with that Kitsune Rush whenever it does come on eventually.
Well, here is the Molten Core, 90% for either side. Sad getting very, very low. Saved by the sound barrier of Boostio, but chased down now. Riptire out, looking for a target here. Will claim CTW so that Orbital Ray not a problem now. We see the Annihilation in from Red Chimp. Good for one. Pummels down a second, and 3 go down as Krusty cleans up Ready, and Enenra gonna reverse sweep here on this first point.
Yeah, as we see they're kind of taking a look at this and they're like, all right, no more messing around. They got Ruby going back over to the Sojourn, Sad going over to the Tracer, and now Ready is going over to the Brig. So they're back on what they were doing on King's Row. Not feeling good about dropping that first sub-map, first point on Flashpoint there.
All right, over to the junkyard we go. Written in some graffiti to the right of Zombie there. Sad having to drop down and grab that mini health pack. Now we're gonna see Terra Surge out, and the Orbital Ray just is sliding so quickly away from these players for Enenra. Zombie lose their life here. Krusty needs to live, but this is not a 1v1 anymore that I consider winnable. Okay, well, it wasn't a 1v1 to begin with because Ruby comes in with the fadeaway. CTW falls.
Terra Surge was very well used there by Sulgi. Basically took the entirety of Enenra away from the orbital raid that CTW threw in. So they got pretty much no value out of it. And then from there, was able to clean up in a fight where they swapped a bunch of heroes and didn't have the ult economy to be able to win that exchange. Terra Surge for orbital ray is a big deal for the side of
Well, Sad still continuing to dominate on this Tracer. Zombie looking to try and find some stabilization, but without Krusty in the fight, it's not going to be a fight that Enenra are willing to take. Zombie just continues to try to find something. Woo!
And something
There's
they did
right?
find as Sad goes down. Very sad day for them.
Well, Zombie being pressured in the back from Ruby. Still able to weather that storm. Now we see the overclock it down. Ruby will immediately meet their fate there. 2 for Zombie on the overclock. And hey, Zombie found something, right? I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, they found their kills and their dominance once again. That was 3 for them in that fight, and it allowed the rest of their team to be able to build up some of these key ultimates coming in the next fight. That rally, then the rally should buy them enough time to get this Annihilation online, because Oomph gets coming up on a lot, almost all 5 of their ultimates.
All right, well, Ruby looking for these shots out here, but not wanting to shoot at anybody squishy, so no damage going to come through onto the Ramatra at the hands of this Sojourn, and a nice bash headshot there from a Zombie, followed up on by APVS, and another great shot from Zombie as the fights continue to roll.
Oh, with Sulgi getting that pick on the APVS, the entirety of Enenra, as we see, is having to back up, and they cannot play as aggressively. And there should still be a touch coming in from the side of Oomph, who didn't use any ult, so no rally or overclock for Enenra.
Here's the Terra Surge out, but with Sad being dead, there's no real pressure. Red Chimp needs to stay up here. Thrown right back into the line of sight of the supports, and looks like one more time for the road. A 2-0 lead here on New Junk City after going down 99-0 for Enenra.
Very, very well played by the side of Enenra. I mean, it's mentioned that APVS rally built enough time for those 2 ultimates that won the fight to come online, which was the Orbital Ray and that Annihilation. For the side of Oomph, it's still very strange to see them sticking to this Baptiste. I know it did them so well on King's Row, but it's very reliant on a lot of damage to be done through the Baptiste and taking advantage of those windows, and they're just not finding it so far, as Red Chimp is doing a great job of mitigating a lot of this on with the Ravenous Fields, with the shields, with the Annihilation.
All right, well, I mean, Umredi's dead. Another beautiful shot from Zombie. This fight so quickly over. I mean, it's over before it could even begin, and now Enenra looking confident themselves.
Yeah, to me, it felt like Oomph was feeling themselves coming to this map. You know, rolled out on that Reinhardt with the Junkrat and, you know, the Torbjorn with the Ana Lucio, and they just have not been able to get anything going since then. Soulji's going to go over to the D.Va now and try and make something happen, but Ruby's already down.
Yeah, Zombie absolutely coming alive here on this new Junk City. Red Chimp trying to keep it rolling here, trying to keep this aggression going, and with the immortality being used there so early, it's not going to be super easy. A lot of survivability gone here. It's just kind of a poke battle. Krusty with the pulse bomb, gonna not quite find that now. The aggression finally going in from mmmfghm, but Zombie with the overclock and the pick before it. I mean, with it 70% here for Enenra, they're looking very poised to finish this map out right now.
With Sad going down late, too, that would have been the one person who could have touched late stagger onto Soulji. I think that might have been it right then and there. And if anyone even gets close to touching, Red Chimp has the Annihilation. You can just pop it. I think that is going to wrap up this map. Enenra strikes back hard, says we are not finished yet. Makes us a 2-1 series.
Yeah, and I mean, incredible effort there because, you know, it was a 3-0. I understand that. It did not come easy. It did not come easy in those first 2 points. Like I said, both were 99-0, and it has to be said the only reason that they ever had a chance on the first point was because Zombie and Krusty 2v5.
Yep.
I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, right. This is what I'm talking about. Zombie just absolutely goes ballistic in that fight on objective A. And I mean, you can't ask for more from your DPS players. I mean, then that second point, it was just well-timed ultimates on that second point that got them back in. And also that, I suppose, that was just a great call by Zombie. And now they are, you know, done with their map picks. They're not going to get a chance anymore to, you know, pick a map throughout the rest of this series. But, I mean, that's momentum. That is confidence for Enenra, and that is something they sorely lacked after those first 2 maps.
I was going to say, that's the one issue you're facing going forward, as no matter what, rest of the maps will be the pick of Oomph. So they're going to be able to take you to whatever maps they feel comfortable. And you basically left Escort and Push on the table. So, I mean, Escort alone can be a very influential map type in what map you bring us to. Like, Watchpoint Gibraltar and what you play on that map is very different than, say, a Shambali Monastery. So that the map picks coming in, if we do go to Escort next, I don't know. We might just go to Push. But if it is Escort, the power in the pick can mean a lot for the side of Oomph.
And I just have one big glaring question mark here for the side of Enenra. Do they stay on that Ramatra? Because it looked excellent for Enenra with Red Chimp on the Ramatra, on, you know, Juno break backline, still nothing new back there. But even into the Orisa, which, you know, generally speaking, it's a little bit worse of a matchup than it is into the Reinhardt, right? It's a little bit harder to find that consistent value from that Ramatra into the Orisa. But Red Chimp didn't mind at all, didn't really seem bothered by the CC or the Spear Spin or any of that in particular. And I mean, the whole tone of New Junk City changed once they went over to the Ramatra. Even when mmmfghm tried to figure out you know, they should not be messing around anymore, that they need to, you know, go back to this meta composition, it wasn't enough. And now, I mean, that is my question. Do they remain on this Ramatra?
You know, in my head, if I'm an Enenra, I mean, until they can stop the comp for running, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is what got us back in the series. You know, we were trying to play the Orisa even into the Reinhardt, and it wasn't working well for us. Things changed when they went to Ramatra. So, in my head, I feel like you stick to it until Oomph can prove to you they can bust that composition, then you look to change it. Still waiting on that map pick. And even to throw a little wrench into this as well, like, we talked about, Gibraltar versus Shambali, where Gibraltar, you'd play dive, Shambali, you could play more of the Ramacha Arista kind of composition. But even throwing to the wrench like a Circuit Royale, where you're bound to play Sigma compositions, the power in being able to pick and send us to a map for escort is understated for the side of MMF.
Yeah, and now, I mean, to throw more fuel on the fire right now, seems to be having some technical difficulties. One of their players has DC'd out of the lobby as soon as that match ended, and it looked like they were having some issues here. Didn't seem like a rage quit. Didn't really look like a rage quit. Nobody seems to be angry at anybody. But that also has to go into this gameplay. You come out, you're worried, you're trying to figure out the problems that are plaguing you and your gameplay and your hardware. It's going to weigh heavy. I believe it was APVS who is having the problems here. This isn't a place where, like, it's not the worst place in the world because it's not in the middle of a map. Better to do it between the maps than in the maps, but it's not something that can go unsaid.
I mean, we did hear that they're resetting, so we'll have to see if that all goes well. Sometimes someone fuck you because you've been going into your game. I've had some glitches that are going on where I can't hear footsteps or something sometimes, and it just takes a nice reset to get things going. So, I mean, I don't think it's, that bad, but yeah, definitely worth mentioning as the reverse sweep is in motion for the side of Enenra. They found a remedy to deal with the Arista composition within that Ramatra. The question is, not only can the Ramacha continue to have the sustain to deal with the Arista, another big part of it has been Zombie's ability to continuously find picks. Can they keep it up for another 2 maps?
Yeah, that is a big problem. Well, I don't want to say problem. That I think is the wrong word, but it is another question mark for me. And as we say that, we do know where we're going. We're going to Watch Point Gibraltar, so it looks like it'll be a dive. As I have a bippy in my head telling us that it's not in the map pool. So we're going to stall for a little bit longer. Back to what I was saying about Zombie and the Sojourn. It is inconsistent at the very least to just have one guy go kill 5. We saw that 3 years ago with the Shock and Proper, right? I mean, the guy is a nutcase, but as good as a player is, it is so damn hard to solo carry in Overwatch. This isn't Valorant where you can drop 55 kills and, win because you're just mechanically that much stronger than the other team, right? It is way, way more important that, everybody has a piece in doing things than just saying, hey, Zombie, go kill 5. Because as flashy and cool as it was for Zombie to, Zombie and Krusty for that matter, 2v5 on point 1 there on New Junk City, it's not a recipe for long-term success. It might work now, but there's no guarantee that'll work later.
Yeah, that is definitely something you cannot continue to rely on continuously is Zombie, go kill everyone for us. Like that's like you mentioned, it'll happen sometimes and you're going to have pop-off moments, but to ask one player to be able to do that time and time again, it is it's just too much to be able to ask of one player. As now we do have that map coming in, and it may not be the dive-centric map of Watchpoint, but it is another dive-oriented map. We're headed to Dorado.
Yeah, going through the carousel of emotions, trying to figure out where we're going to end up, but seems like it's going to be the same general idea as what we would have talked about with Lijiang, or not Lijiang Tower, but Watchpoint Gibraltar. It's going to be dive. I imagine that is the idea behind this map pick. Some pretty strong high grounds, even if it is, a little more consistent for like a rush comp to be able to get around the map with the new staircases that have been, sprinkled around. The dive is still the dominant selection here on Dorado. It's not really going to be surprising to see a dive. My question is, what kind of dive do we see? I generally prefer a Winston dive. I think it's a little more consistent than like a Wrecking Ball or a Diva. But it is worth noting that sometimes Winston's not the easiest to get value out of themselves. You got to play it kind of incredibly smart. So now it's just a question of, what are we going to do? And does Enenra stay on the Ramatra and try to force it?
I feel like on a map like Dorado, it's less likely, and especially with Winston getting the extra 10 damage to the jump land. I think that's going to make it that much more viable to continue to play Winton Overwatch. I think Diva takes a minor step back in I guess the dive, what's hard meta for the dive. Not that Diva still can't work. I just think it makes Winston that much better. So I can't wait to see what's going to unfold here as we are just waiting for the readies to the team, and we'll be loading up Dorado shortly.
Getting ready to head in here, and to speak to the Diva, it's a different kind of dive, right? It's not as hard-nosed as the Winston would be. It is way more predicated on the peel that Diva can provide, going back into that backline, trying to keep those supports alive while your DPS, are following up on some of the damage that you're doing. Diva can just get around so quickly, up and down, all around. So it's kind of up to the Diva to be everywhere all at once, be doing, 3, 4, 5 different jobs all at once. Meanwhile, the Winston is kind of jump in, zap with your DPS, jump out. A little more, nuance to it than that. But the idea is there, and we do see a Wrecking Ball and a Winston here on these team lineups, so it's going to be a interesting as we head in here. And there actually is going to be the Diva from the side of the defense. Not exactly sure who this is just yet. We'll get that in a second.
I'm pretty sure the defense is
a Diva.
Yeah, the defense is Enenra. So Enenra is going to play the Diva. It looks like on the attack, Solgi is highlighting that Winston. We have seen situations in the past. I'm not sure how, well it continues to do, but Diva does a good job at applying a lot of pressure onto Winston's, especially with those micro missiles. You can't you can't really mitigate the electric zap gun that, Defense Matrix doesn't eat that, but it's all about being able to disrupt the dive with your boops on the Diva and being able to, pressure down the health bar of Solgi with your micro missiles.
All right, here we go. Ruby headed back to spawn, of course. Not going to be on that Symmetra for very long. Going to go over the Sojourn, of course, having looked so strong on that here all night long. 90 HP, Sulgi gets down to, but healing will be in effect there to keep the Winston up and ready. Moving very quickly through that ult charge to that nano boost already. 30%. As it's just kind of a posturing moment as the dive comes through. Solgi, 100 HP in a dream, and Zombie falls, but Solgi is traded, so still gonna be okay here for Enenra.
Yeah, but because you're down Zombie on the DPS, you can still look to contest the cart, but you're not going to have the staying pick potential without your Sojourn, so you definitely have to be that much more careful as Krusty has to recall.
Yeah, Krusty forced to recall that anti-nade, not going to connect to the low ground. And there's still going to be Krusty getting a whiff of that whip shot there. Not quite going to connect on it there for the side of Boost Yoro. Krusty, Sad actually moving very close to the pulse bomb. CTW being antied up there is going to be brutal, but the movement too strong. Zombie with the headshot, and CTW lives.
Yeah, that is something that absolutely cannot happen if you're the side of just letting CTW get out of there. Even if you trade your Winston for it, you got to get those heals off the table, and they just were not able to confirm that kill. But Krusty is doing a good job of putting constant pressure onto Unready and Boost Yoro and not allowing them to have clear sight lines onto their tank. as once again Red Chip finds the stagger onto Ruby, and that's just going to be more and more time draining off this clock.
Ruby having to come back from spawn is brutal now. What looked like a great start here for Enenra. Withered down to half the time bank remaining. 5 ultimates on the side of Enenra, just about 4 for mmmfghm. And there is the first. The nano boost applied to Sulgi. Pulse bomb to the feet of APVS, but APVS is traded for Umredi. The orbital ray called down, but with Zombie popping this overclock, not even giving the Winston a chance to get this Primal Rage off, and Enenra will remain.
Yeah, we do see Bustioro, who has gone over to the Juno. Umredi's still going to stick to the Ana, so the Ana Juno is going to be tough to be able to play, especially with the way Krusty's been applying this pressure onto the back line. Ana Juno is so squishy. Krusty can feast. It's not like you have a Brig protecting.
All right, now Sad trying to go in, but Bustioro's dead. Already, Red Chimp good for 2, and Krusty following up to take down Umredi. Sugi very low as well. I mean, this is looking drastic here for mmmfghm.
Yeah, this is no bueno at all for the side of Oomph. They just cannot find any kind of angles in this fight. Reddy's now going to go over to the Brig. Now they've gone full circle. They're back on the Brig Juno. And Sulgi is now even going to go over to the Diva. So they're just finding that the Winston's getting pressured down too easily.
Okay, well, Red Chimp actually had a favorable matchup there against Ruby, but not able to drop the Sojourn before the fight could begin, as Krusty looking for a target in this back line, very close to the Pulse Bomb themselves, as Red Chimp, I mean, a little bit aggressive there, as the Sulgi Diva very, very low here, gets some healing coming through from Bustioro as overtime approaches here for mmmfghm. They await Umredi's return, and will be a very, very struggle fight here for Ruby as they look for something with this overclock, but may not even need to find something with his ultimate.
They do get Krusty, and being able to get these kills quickly and not allowing, I mean, with overtime spawns, no one's going to be able to touch. So in the 9th hour, as, you know, things were looking rough, Oomph makes the swaps they need. They get Sogi over to the Diva. They get back onto the Brig Juno, and they're able to come through big time, as Ruby's going to go over to the Widow for the second point attack.
I mean, not the worst thing in the world for this Enenra, or rather this mmmfghm team. It could be pretty bad for Enenra. We saw what Ruby could do on this character on King's Row. Just putting some pot shots in before the fight can begin. Going to grapple up, looking for something, and Zombie eats it. Absolutely munches dirt, and now under pressure there, Krusty good for the kill. Now looking for Bustioro, who has the orbital ray, but just absolutely ran it down there, and now down 2. Enenra has got to escape here.
That they do, is they are looking to back out, and they're disengaging very well with that speed ring. Still, the pressure is there from Sulgi onto these supports. Pulse Bomb finds one.
Oh my, yeah, Zombie not having a very fun time here on this second point so far. Looked great in the first one. You know, obviously those fates have it changed a little bit. Point pressure here from mmmfghm, getting around what could be, you know, a very important corner. 3 ultimates on the side of mmmfghm, 4 for Enenra. They are in the lead for this fight. Now the orbital ray comes down. Self-destruct will be the answer for this Diva. Will get back into mech on the low ground now. Orbital ray and rally down from the other side. Sulgi, with the help of that orbital ray, will drop Krusty. Both of the Tracers are dead in this fight. Red Chimp very low, has a self-destruct of their own. May very well need to use it as the trades continue to roll, but Red Chimp will get taken down in spite of the self-destruct, and now Bustioro getting in there, and it will be Sulgi going in and taking on everybody to put mmmfghm ahead in the fight.
And considering they got that first point cap in overtime, to be able to finish the second point with time just shows you how quickly and methodically it can take a long time to point cap B. So they did a great job there being able to bring it home, and now they have a chance to possibly cap all 3. Zombie, however, has been holding on to this overclock, has been dominant every time they've used it.
Well, here is sights up for Ruby. You know, can't exactly headshot someone through the wall. Gonna shoot into the shield there of APVS on that Brig. Still looking for something, but nothing really coming easy for this Widowmaker. They're not giving this fight for free, and you know, frankly, they shouldn't. Ruby's very, very crazy on this Widowmaker, but with him ready dead, not gonna be a fight here. Well, Zombie gonna try to invest here, self-destruct to get Sogi back in the mech, but yeah, Sad dead, and it will be the overclock that puts them ahead in the fight.
They do get Zombie as Krusty was trying to apply pressure onto Ruby, but they've been doing a great job in APVS to be able to get into the back line. Cleanup coming in from the side of Enenra. Just under a minute for Oomph to try and deliver this payload all the way. Ult stacking in favor of Enenra. They're going to have both of their supports as well as a Pulse and a remech for the side of Red Chimp, while Oomph only will have the rally and got to hope they can get orbital array on in time. 30 seconds left on the clock. Oomph gonna have to move quickly as Ruby swaps over to the Cassidy.
Krusty will get found out here. Gonna back around the corner. Still has this pulse bomb ready to go, but the shots are good. And there's the hinder out. Yeah, that is a well timed flashbang there by Ruby. APVS, buddy. There's the follow-up. I guess there's people in here getting active. Suki loses the mech, and self-destruct will be coming in here as Ruby. Oh my god, the shot's too crisp.
And they have touches as well, but Krusty able to find. Ruby cannot find those headshots in the end as Krusty doesn't have the recall yet if they can apply enough pressure, but they get Sad.
Yeah, Sad going down there. Sugi does get back into the mech here. Orbital Ray from CTW could be a nightmare, but Bustioro has returned with one of their own. Krusty is dead in this fight, however, so not going to be a lot of pressure on the back line, but it will be enough. They can't get back to the point. Sulgi denied. Will be a hold at 61.5 meters here on Objective C.
Considering how that point A attack was going, though, Oomph was able to get that a pretty good far distance. And, you know, the line in the sand has now been drawn. If Oomph can stop Enenra from getting it basically to around the final corner on point 3, they will be moving on to take on Squirt Squad in the losers finals. If not, we are going to a map 5, folks.
I mean, just some very clutch plays. I really did question this rally from APVS right here, and you know, they did end up getting taken down, but it made the fight close enough that Enenra were confident to go in a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further, right? And ultimately, all those kills that they got, the 2 or 3 that they took down with them, ultimately made it very, very difficult for them to try and get back into the fight properly late. And you know, you saw the effects of it. It was basically just Sulgi left on the point.
Oomph, no messing around, I guess is the word. They're gonna just play exactly what they ended up on at the end there to really come back, which is the Devo with the Brig. Juno is an Enenra, same thing. So full mirrors. Both teams have had their moments to shine in this competition, have had their moments of brilliance. Who can string together a few more in a row to keep their team alive?
The big question. Zombie answers it, though, for the moment with a nicely timed headshot there onto Sad. And now the aggression goes up onto the high ground, leaving the point behind for a second, sending Krusty to do the dirty work as they're going to push him down the staircase.
Yeah, they're going to get control of the high ground, forfeited because you lost one in that fight, as Red Chimp going to do what they can to still maintain control, but do what they need to do to get this cart under the bridge already.
All right, Sulgi trying to control this high ground as best as humanly possible. Red Chimp will, though, go down to join their teammates. Recall force out of Krusty early. CTW takes a shot, though. Need to be able to keep that Juno up. Red Chimp trying to retain their level head, the control of this point, but kind of being stuffed by this mmmfghm roster right now, going in on to the Brig. The defense matrix a little bit too much to overcome as Ruby starts this fight out the same way Zombie started out the first one, with a headshot on to the opposition's Tracer. Bustioro, though, is a good trade to take for Red Chimp, because Krusty will be back a hell of a lot faster than that Juno. And now it's just a matter of playing safe and trying to deny the push as long as possible.
Ready's going to use the rally, though. Has it on much faster than APVS.
Red Chimp, very low out of mech, has the self-destruct ready to go. Red Chimp will be more than happy to get right back into that suit, though. Pulse Bomb out from Sad will not find a target, but Ruby again. Okay, well, both Sojourns had this very same idea here in this fight. The shield goes up, keeps APVS alive, and Zombie claims a hat trick in this fight, takes over, and it will be Enenra looking confident to take A.
As we see the Diva Bomb going onto point, not able to find anybody, but really it's just continuing to stall and stall as they're going to continue to keep touching and may buy time for people like Ruby to come back who do have the overclock, which is the only ult left in this fight.
I mean, Ruby does end up taking down CTW, but this is going to be such a hard fight when you do not have your Diva here. The overclock will be thrown in by Ruby, but the defense matrix really, really annoying. And Red Chimp thought that they might get back to that self-destruct before the mech goes away, and it will be Sulgi returning to the fight after Ruby found big value with the overclock.
As they got to make sure someone stays on this point. Krusty going down is going to definitely help things, so you don't have to worry about a back cap at this point. No sneaky Tracer to be able to do that. 50 seconds left on the clock. And with how long these fights have been going, Fletch, I mean, you maybe get one more plus maybe a staggered after that. Ready's going to have the rally online as well as the DPS ultimates for Enenra. We talked about both teams. The DPS have popped off in the crucial moments.
Okay, well, big playmaker down for the side of mmmfghm as the overclock is entering the fray here. Pulse Bomb from Krusty. These DPS making a difference here. Ready out. The support's very low for mmmfghm. They need to take down Bustioro. They will chase down that Juno confidently, and now Sulgi last in this fight as APVS going to drop both Sad and Sulgi. Point cap for Enenra.
As both teams essentially end up getting that capped in overtime. I think there was like 7 seconds left on the clock for Enenra. So, I mean, they both had similar point A attacks. The thing for Oomph was they were able to take point B very, very quickly. So this is Oomph's opportunity. This point B, as I mentioned, can be one that takes a while to cap, so they can drain a lot of time.
All right, we'll rally out from APVS, and Zombie good for the pick. The self-destruct ready to go should they need it, but will not even need that investment from the side of Red Chimp, who is absolutely going in so deep, and I'm not even really sure where CTW was to get that kill onto Sad, or I guess the question should be where Sad was, as the fight just continues to rage here in this small room, and unfortunately that's just really close to the spawn doors of...
It really felt like Enenra way overstood their welcome in that fight, and now they're just going to get a horrendously bad stagger under Red Chimp. To me, I'm not sure why Enenra was playing in that small room for as long as they did. Feels like a big mistake. Both Junos, however, will have Orbital Ray for the next fight. Both Divas going to have that remech, and both Sojourns should have overclock for this fight as well. So I'm always loving it when we see Zombie and Ruby really going at it with these overclocks, and we should see that once again.
I mean, pretty confidently ahead in that overclock category, so... Enenra are not confident in the Krusty category right now. In fact, they are down all of their stock as Sulgi cleans up a couple. Zombie does send Ruby packing for this fight, but with 45 seconds left on the clock, I mean, you need a big play coming in.
And that's another pos. That's another late stagger on the side of Red Chimp. They're just now getting out. Wow, 30 seconds left on the clock. Look at all those check marks on the side of Oomph. They have been stockpiling and are ready for this opportunity to send themselves to the losers finals.
I mean, the aggression, the W key glued to the keyboards here. Enenra looking to keep it alive here. 10 seconds left. They need somebody on this objective. CTW throwing down the orbital ray, but I mean, Sad just absolutely saying, ABBS, hey, hold this, bud. Going down there is the Sojourner. Sad finds a couple, Zombie finds a couple, but unfortunately, you know, it's going to end up being mmmfghm that comes out on top of this pulse bomb for Krusty, not going to connect there, and thus ends Enenra's season. mmmfghm will get their opportunity to punch back at Squirt Squad in the lower finals. Top 3 guaranteed for this squad.
And they got to be feeling very good. I mean, it was looking rough there. New Junk City didn't really go their way. They decided to get a little silly, and it felt like they never found their footing there. And then when they first started on the Winston here, was not looking great. But as soon as they matched them on the Diva, I mean, as soon as they took the full mirror, they were able to confidently take it all the way to third point and then stop them in their tracks at the bridge on second point. So all things considered, I think throughout the night, Oomph was the better team, you know, New Junk City aside.
Yeah, you know, I said it after the second, or the map on New Junk City, right? It is like, you just can't rely on one player to make every single play, and the only, like, it kind of felt like at times the only reason that Enenra were in fights was because Zombie was killing 2-3 people at a time. And it's just not sustainable, man. As good as Zombie is, we know how good Zombie is. This guy is absolutely out of his mind in both the NA and EU regions. By the way, this is Zombie on ping from Italy. It's just not enough, right? You need to have some way to supplement the damage that your Sojourn is doing. And even if Enenra had it all season long, they just didn't have it tonight.
Congratulations to Oomph. And I mean, once again, Enenra, great season they had. 4th place is nothing to be ashamed about. I mean, and as I talked about, they are one of the, you know, teams that continue to field teams every year in CGL. So I always love seeing them getting good placements and making it all the way to the top 4. You got to be feeling proud. Unfortunately, this series did not go the way you would have hoped. Oomph, however, they showed out strong. No shame in losing to a team like this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of felt like start to finish, mmmfghm knew what they needed to do across the board, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you. The DPS line for mmmfghm, Ruby absolutely fragged out from the beginning. Sad started off a little bit slow on the Reaper. Turned it up to 12 on the Tracer. Absolute menace on that character, indeed. And Sulgi played their role perfectly. They played the Orisa to the point, you know, you're not supposed to die on Orisa. Sulgi didn't, right? That's the idea of Orisa pressuring the front line, not dying, and Sulgi played that role perfectly, gave the space that you needed for those DPS to get to work in the back line. Hey, Boostioro and Umredi absolutely stepped up as well, but that's going to do it for the series. We're not done yet, though. Here tonight, we are going to have a representative from mmmfghm to talk to us about this series and how they're feeling moving forward into the matchup against Squirt Squad. So stick around. We will get their thoughts.
Got lots of love. 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 Love. Got lots of love. Love. Got lots of love. Love.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got Sulgi of mmmfghm to talk to us about this series today. Y'all move on to play Squirt Squad once again in that lower finals. How are y'all feeling about how this match went tonight?
Well, the map that we lost, New Junk City, I feel like we started off pretty bad and it kind of just snowballed from there and we couldn't really recover. So going into the last map, we were kind of just chilling. We understood that we might have trolled a little bit at the beginning with our comp, going Ride, Junk, Torb. Maybe not the best comp out there right now, but, you know, we wanted to have some fun because, you know, it's Overwatch. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun because this meta right now, it's not the best. It's not the best to play in.
Fair enough, fair enough. The one thing that did worry me, like I kind of understood, like I kind of just threw New Junk City out of there because you guys were just being silly and then never really got your footing when you got serious. But coming into the initial phases of Dorado, I saw the Winston. I'm like, I like the idea of the Winston, especially with the, you know, extra damage on the jump, but they were just absolutely pressuring you on that Diva and on that with the Diva and the Sojourn. I mean, I was getting worried there. What made you guys finally fall back into mirroring them?
I mean, me myself, I love Winston. He's my favorite character to play. So I wanted to play him so bad. I wanted to force it, but like deep in my heart, in my soul, I knew I had to go back to Diva because there's no way that I was gonna be able to like stop this Sojourn that's been killing us with the new charge stuff. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is literally like we were talking about on stream. I was like, one of the casters came in our chat, was like, hey, what do you think the meta is? I was like, Orisa, Brig, Juno, Sojourn. I don't really care what the second DPS is, but that's what everything else is going to be. Oh, it's insane. But you guys are going up against Squirt Squad, who you guys lost to in the first round of the winners bracket. How do you guys feel going up against them, and do you guys feel like you'll get revenge this time around?
Well, we did play them earlier in the season, and I do want to say I was there during that game, and in the playoffs, I wasn't. Don't want to say anything, but I feel like I could be the difference maker for this next game going against Squirt Squad.
Alrighty, something to look forward to.
Yeah, I do see that. I mean, it was a 3-0 the other way in week 6. So very, very looking forward to seeing that. I like what y'all have showed me today, adapting to the Orisa, and even you being willing to get off of the Winston when you recognize that the Diva is probably the better pick. But now, as we get ready to send you away to go prepare for Squirt Squad to try and get to that grand final, is there anything that you'd like to bring up that maybe we didn't, or any shout outs that you'd like to make?
I'd like to give a shout out to my boy Last Dragon One. He's always coming in clutch, going the gritty heroes, going the Reaper when we need him to go Reaper, going the Echoes that I love. And he just really showed out today on that Tracer role. I loved the performance, and I kept on seeing him one clip the other Tracer, and it was just music to my ears.
Okay. So
hold on, real quick, before you go, I have to know, how do you say your team's name?
I don't know.
No, do it. No, say
it. We gotta know if we're even close.
I don't know the answer to the question. I'm so sorry. I've never pronounced it. I've never pronounced it myself. I've always stayed clear from it.
Okay. As he mentioned, that was sad on Tracer, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. Absolutely insane play on that Tracer, and from all of y'all. But for now, Sugi, thank you for coming to come talk to us, and we wish y'all the best of luck against Squirt Squad.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, Ray. Well, the end of our series is upon us indeed. A very, very good performance from across the board, with the exception of, the we'll say intentional missteps on New Junk City that caused them to slip quite far. They were pretty much in control for most of this series. Some of these maps were a little bit closer than others, but in general, they were the ones that had the lead and looked like they were the better team today.
Let's go ahead before we close out, pull up that bracket once again and remind you of where we are left in this division. And Squirt Squad will be playing each other. I'm going to assume sometime this weekend to determine who is going to meet big T-Tar fan in the grand finals sometime next week. So keep an eye out as we are nearing the end of the season. We have 2 grand finals that are one's already happened. We have one that's going to be an SNO special tomorrow, so make sure to check that out. And keep in mind, the SNO, it's going to be later than normal. This game got scheduled at a very late time. It got scheduled at 11 p.m. Eastern. So we will be going live on SNO at 10:30 Eastern tomorrow.
Infinite emphasis on the Saturday night Overwatch. And yeah, it is on Saturday, not tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm losing track of my days.
Regardless, there is a match coming up tomorrow between, I believe it's going to be Vicious Control and Mental Institution, the NA console side of that tournament. So look forward to that one tomorrow night. SNO on Saturday. Maybe an EU game gets scheduled for that one. We'll just have
crossing
to wait
our fingers on that. Yeah.
But not going to guarantee anything on that. But what I can guarantee, this stream will be over sometime in the next few minutes. Thank you all for watching, and we look forward to seeing y'all again as this season comes to a very, very strong conclusion.